are back in a different way this week. We had actually recorded the rest of this episode weeks ago. It's a series we're doing about, I guess, trying to understand what blackness is.
Yeah.
As African diasporans. And recent events in the news, which I'm sure you're aware of, brought us here today to record a little segment before we go into it.
We have been provoked.
Yes, we have been provoked. That is it. We have been provoked. We have been provoked. Unless you're living under a rock, you know what we're talking about. We're talking about the Meghan Markle royal scandal. Windsor,
Prince Harry, the Sussexes.
Basically. Sussexes. Yes, Sussexes.
Mm-hmm.
And all this furore around their it's not even tell-all. They didn't say much. They didn't tell us who said what.
Royal scandal.
Yeah, they're having an interview with Oprah, and a lot of interesting things came up. Now, this is relevant to the rest of the episode that you're going to hear shortly, because something that keeps coming up around this is obviously identity and blackness. So let us maybe talk about Meghan. There's a lot to talk about, but let's start with Meghan herself. Who is Meghan Markle? What's blackness got to do with her? So I guess there's allegations around racism they spoke about. So I think from two different angles. One was the press, and two was treatment within the royal family. And if we start with the press, for example, people like Piers Morgan, Daily Fail, Daily Hail, whatever you want to call it, that Rupert Murdoch media that has been for years, in my opinion, harassing Meghan Markle, posting all sorts of nonsense online. And unfortunately, royal family, for some reason, they have all this power and all this money, but I think the trade-off is that they don't get to live normal lives. They don't get to defend themselves. They can't just say or do whatever they want to do. They're basically in gilded prisons.
Yeah.
And Harry and Meghan have decided to fucking escape, run off to America.
Oh, I think it all also precedes more than that, because there's a lot of talk going around. But
there's a lot of talk going around.
We have to believe, like you said, being a royal has its downsides.
It has a lot of perks too. But
yeah, it has a lot of perks too. But I would imagine those kind of perks wouldn't be very liberating for a woman who has already had her own career and made her own money.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't feel sorry for her. I did initially, but I don't now, having digested it. I think the interview was 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
I have digested it and processed it. And for me, yes, I do understand and I hate. What I mean to say is anti-black racism. And I want to be very specific, because it is the black part of her, which, by the way, she's a quarter black. She's not even half black. She's a quarter. That mother of hers, I learned that is biracial. But that quarter of hers is so... They hate so much that we're getting this anti-black racism. I mean, the woman, anyone in the royal family, even if you're... Whatever race you are, let's think of Diana. Anyone who has not conformed has paid for it. Because you're supposed to live in this gilded prison, right?
And that's why I started with the statement that Meghan was already someone who was her own person.
She was
and then
her
you
own
try
person.
to put that person in a cage already, regardless of their race. Regardless of their race, it's not gonna work.
Yeah,
it's
she's
not
39, isn't she? Well, she admitted that she didn't do her research, and I was just like, "You stupid girl! I'm sorry, you're a 30-something-year-old woman. How do you not do your basic research about?"
Yeah, that's her bad, and I mean, it was an interesting
Meghan, I like you,
interview
but
to watch. It was an interesting interview to watch because I kind of. Here's the thing: I don't know about the stories and stuff, and I really feel bad that she had to go through that kind of stuff. But more so, I actually support them going on Oprah to tell these stories, because absolutely. I think a lot of people have been saying that why did they have to go out there? Why did they basically have to air the royal family's dirty laundry out in public?
Look, I do not buy this whole thing about not keeping your family business private. I do not. I'm sorry. Look, I firmly believe Meghan Markle, for all the mistakes she made, she is, not Harry, her. She is a masterclass in, these are my boundaries. This is how I'm going to enforce them. And let me say something about Black people in general. We are very bad at boundaries. Very bad at boundaries. We don't put them up. We don't enforce them. I'm talking about myself. You know me personally, and you've seen me struggle with this. So this is from my own experience and what I've seen around me.
It's not just you, all of us.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. But she cut off her dad. Some people are upset with her for cutting off her dad. I'm just like, this bitch is on the right. She's going in the right direction. Cut off your father. If your father is messy and selling stories.
Yeah, so what?
He went and said, every 30 days I'm going to sell a story about her until she talks to me. That's blackmail.
Here's the thing. It's at that point where I don't even believe that blood is thicker than water. No.
Family should be conditional. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I know our family members listen to this. You've been warned. Behave yourself. I mean, at the end of the day, who did you come here to die for? You were born alone, you'll die alone. Even twins are born alone, they die alone too.
Yeah.
So, therefore, look out for yourself. So she did that. And them running off to the US is enforcing boundaries. She may not be good at researching husbands, but she's good at boundaries.
Okay, fine. So let's get to the main gist of the topic here, the interview, the meet. I mean, the funniest, I think the funniest lead up to this I saw was on Twitter. Someone tweeted, you know what? Oprah woke up and chose to destroy the British monarchy.
I mean, I don't know about destroy, because I actually have a slightly opposing view. Not that much, but slightly. Okay. I think Meghan Markle has made Oprah very relevant and very rich again. She's brought Oprah back to relevance. Oprah was very smart to jump on this. And the royal family... What do you
mean back to relevance? Hold on.
No, because Oprah is not someone... Oprah is a household name. But in recent times, she's not someone the general public talk about.
But as Black people, been by choice.
No, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So Oprah is smart that she picked a project out of all the interviews she could have. She picked the one that we're going to be talking about for a very long time. She's a smart lady.
But then that's the thing. But then here's the thing. Okay, I think this one was the one that hit. Oprah has been interviewing. Oprah has been doing her masterclass for years since I've been watching continuously.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you.
You know?
But you're an Oprah fan. Think about the random British white guy out there who's a plumber. Yeah? He's not thinking about Oprah, but now he's thinking about Oprah. This is what I'm trying to say. Is when you think about Oprah's profile, she's always there, steady. This one, she's got she's a smart lady.
Yes, she's a smart lady.
I love her.
I thought, who else?
Of course.
Which other interviewer on
she
the
was
planet
at the wedding.
are you going to go to? No, but who?
Yeah, who else?
Who deserves the honor of telling this story?
I was very happy. And then, what was the other thing? I mean, Oprah, yeah, I'm happy that she got to do that. But at the same time, it is not lost on me that Meghan Markle and Harry are getting their voices back through a Black woman. It is not lost on me that the people they ran to for refuge was Tyler Perry.
Please explain this Tyler Perry thing. I didn't know about this whole Tyler Perry thing.
He was like, I don't know if he offered them a place to stay, but he gave them a roof over their heads when they were escaping all this shit. Yeah? Didn't tell anybody that they were there. He gave them a safe place to be. So I bring this up because there is this thing about Black people being protective over everybody, especially Black women. We are I feel like we have a bit of an unhealthy habit in spending our energy saving everybody when there's very few people who spend any of their time helping us. Forget about Black Square Summer of last year.
Okay.
Throughout your whole life, think of any moment where people
that's
rallied.
generally, that's generally. But
so that's what I'm saying. It is not lost on me.
Yeah,
it's not lost on me that the black people came.
Yes.
He's a member of the royal family. Can you tell me, does this mean that Harry has no friends in high places who can help him? White ones? Any ones? How did they end up with Tyler Perry?
What if they're black? No,
even if they're black.
What if Tyler Perry was his friend?
I mean, the thing is, we know he's her friend. And they were not really,
I don't know that,
as far as I know, they were not like close friends or whatever, but he did help them. What I'm trying to say is that even his royal connections, Meghan was not famous her whole life. She was famous in Hollywood for whatever recent period, right? Since she got suits.
Yes.
Harry has been famous since he was in his mother's womb. But nobody came to help to his aid. This is what is shocking me. How Tyler Perry should not...
Shocking though?
Who is
I'm not shocked.
Does he have... This is what I'm trying to say, is that I'm not necessarily shocked that, it's a surprise. What I'm trying to say here is that it is so telling that he couldn't go to people who look like him for help for this particular situation. That to me is sinister. And I wonder if race has anything to do with it. Did they not want to touch this problem? They're like, I'm staying far away. Is there a power issue where they're going to be punished for helping him?
But here's the thing. Maybe he already felt that he couldn't turn to people who look like him.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
That's what I'm just like, I'm like,
it's
all
possible.
your life,
it's all speculation.
It's all speculating. We're speculating. Priti Patel, I know you're listening. We're speculating. I don't know anything.
Why is she listening?
No. It's Priti Patel's internet. Internet is monitored. Look at me. My African accent has come out. Look at what you've done. Let me get back to my other accent.
I know. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, to me, this is very interesting because I'm just like, it's all speculation, but it's very interesting to me what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think maybe the most, worrying aspect of the interview was the comments about Archie's skin color.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just try to remember what Meghan and Harry said. They said there were lots of conversations going around. There was a conversation about whether he gets a title or not. There were conversations around, and so I think what she said is that there were conversations and concerns about about Archie's skin color when he's born.
So these began even before he was born, even before they were married.
There were concerns. The words, I'm trying to use the exact word she used, concerns and conversations. Mm-hmm. So many people are talking, many people, because conversation is more than one person, are talking and having concerns about how dark the baby's skin is going to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As if they haven't looked at Meghan Markle, because I'm not sure what they expect.
But then I feel like maybe white people who are not very, I don't know. I'm not making an excuse for them, but they wouldn't know.
There's the aspect
know.
Okay, here's the thing. There's one thing to say, because this is the argument that's been happening. A lot of people are like, there's nothing racist about that. I also wanted to know whether my son is going to have red hair. Look, it's one thing to say I wonder if the baby is going to take up after the father and have red hair. It's a different thing to say, I'm concerned about how dark this baby's skin is going to be. Those are two different things.
Yeah. Not even I'm concerned. Not even I'm concerned. Mm-hmm. I heard, I think it was Harry or Meghan, I don't know. But I think the wording was, are you worried about how dark your child's skin will be? Or something along those lines. Yeah, I mean, paraphrase,
exactly.
Obviously.
So the concerns. So the active word here is that there was a concern about how dark the skin is going to be. And that is a problem. Like, you wouldn't be concerned by how red the hair is going to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You wouldn't be concerned by how tall the child is going to be.
Yeah. And the thing is, a lot of people, what they're failing to understand is the context of this question and who it's coming from and who it's being directed to all matter.
Who's it coming from? You can take your guess.
That's the thing. We weren't told who it was coming from.
Well, we were told who it was not coming from. And it was not coming from the Queen or Prince Philip.
But we don't know who it actually came from.
I have my guesses.
Do you now?
I have my guesses. I just have guesses. I don't know.
I have guesses as well.
I happen to think it is a woman. And I think most of the people out there guessing think it's a man. But I think it's a woman.
Why can't it be both?
It's really giving me a woman energy.
Well, I'm getting Chinese whispers vibes, okay? By the time someone, I don't know the royals, whatever, but by the time someone has the audacity and the tenacity to come up to you and ask a question like that, they've been building up esteem.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
They've been thinking about it.
And they've probably heard Chinese whispers from around.
What,
you know?
The child is going to come out dark?
No, not even that. That's why I was saying you don't know. It could be a woman, it could be a man, it could be both. It could be someone who got encouraged by all the Chinese whispers they were hearing to have the courage to go and actually ask,
I get that, but I'm just saying.
You get what I mean?
Yeah, it could have been like that. I mean, we're just speculating. But the reason why I say this is because when I did a little bit of Googling, fortunately I had a little extra time at lunch, and I was like, let me Google, out of all of them, who has been known to say things like this. And a few females, I hate using that word on women, came up, and that's it. But anyway, you guys tell us, tweet us, and let us know who you think it is. Who's your guess?
Exactly.
Who done it?
Exactly.
Who done
because I think that's the biggest question now, and I think it's important we touched up on that because we were itching.
Yeah. And I guess finally, before we go into the pre-recorded episode, I think to me a very interesting aspect of all of this thing was how people from different societies reacted, and this is where our episode comes in, because we will be talking about Blackness from different kinds of societies, and this is why I started by bringing up Meghan's racial makeup. Obviously, in an ideal world, none of this shit would matter, but we're not anywhere near an ideal world. We're in a racist world. No,
it's not.
Exactly. So what did you think about the reactions of UK people versus US? So people think about it, people think about media, think about then the world. So UK people, UK media, US people, US media, and the world.
So listen to this episode and get the African perspective.
Absolutely. We'll give you the, African expat.
Hey, still African. I don't know about you.
We'll never not be African. That doesn't matter. But just gives a little context to our full story, I suppose.
Okay, enjoy!
Welcome to the Diasporadicals podcast.
This is not enough.
We are African millennials getting together to discuss our lives and experiences as expats living in the UK.
What's your name?
I am Noma Jean. I used to go by Billie Jean, and I'm still not your average.
Just your name.
I am Ranting Ria. I'm sometimes random, and I still have a lot to complain about. Welcome to the Diasporadicals podcast.
Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of the Diasporadicals podcast.
Welcome back!
And you know what? We're so good at giving our audience guests. Such a nice variety of guests we've given them recently. And hopefully, I know they're going to love our newest member of the Diasporadicals family. And that is Trace. We're going to give people nicknames all the time. Trace. Okay, Trace is joining us today, and we're going to be discussing a topic that's probably going to end up being a series of podcasts, because it just has so many dimensions to it. So specifically today, we're going to be talking about Blackness. What does Blackness mean from a societal level? race is a complicated, never-ending topic.
Oh.
But we want to focus on blackness because that's what we get as Black Africans in diaspora. Now, obviously, Africans vary in race. And we're kind of going to talk about that anyway today. So, welcome, Trace. Say hello.
Hello. Is it Trace or Tracy or what is it? Trey?
Trey.
Like all three words.
Please don't let me abuse it. Trey. Tracy.
Some people call me McGrady.
Oh!
No, not because I play basketball, just because.
It sounds good.
Not because I play basketball. No, I
got lucky with such a nice, rhymey name, Tracy McGrady.
Yeah,
Tracy.
There's a lot of songs about Tracy.
McGrady. Tracy McGrady.
Wait, do you remember that song? What is it? Is it Chakademus and Pliers?
Huh? Way back when they were talking about Tracy McGrady.
When they were talking about not Tracy McGrady, but a song about a girl called Tracy.
Yeah, it's not Tracy. Maxine.
No, that's Maxine. They have another song about Tracy.
Okay, so Tracy, Maxine, who else? These girls?
They went through all the girls.
What's the name of that? What's the woman's name that comes up in every Nigerian song? I'll remember it because I need to ask the Nigerians what's it about this woman?
Yes.
Who is she?
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll get on to that later. So welcome to the podcast. Could you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, where you're from, pretty much whatever you're comfortable divulging to our audience?
Sure, no problem. Okay, so I'm from Uganda, but I'm based in South Africa. And South Africa is, as you know, probably the last African country to get, independence, because apartheid only ended in 1993. So as you can imagine, there's still, of course, a lot of white supremacy, racial tensions, that sort of thing. So I figured, I might have a bit to contribute, like I might be able to relate to some of the things that you guys have gone through. I've spoken to Rhea a lot, and she's also, had a lot of the similar experiences that I've had, So, So, so as you can tell, I don't really have an African accent, but I'm in Africa. And that's because
I can relate so hard to that.
All of us.
My whole life, I'm tired.
You know what? Our literal first episode was, but where are you really from?
Yes.
It was about literally this thing. And I have one of those ambiguous accents. And I code switch all the time. So if I'm talking to my Africans, my accent will start going down the African side, right? If I'm talking to Americans, it will sound very American, etc. It's
we are chameleons. We are chameleons.
Sometimes you don't even realize it. But
you don't even realize.
I think because we've been exposed to a lot of different cultures and a lot of,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and like you, both of us, Rhea and I also lived in other African countries. So, African countries, they have their own flavor and their own idea of what you are, who you are.
Exactly.
Which is a wonderful segue to this actual episode.
Yeah, right? Trust me. When I saw the topic headline, I was just like, that's the one. That is the one. I was even telling Rhea, I was like, I'm not preparing for this. I'm just going in.
Go in.
She's ready.
I don't even know what I want to say. I'm ready. I was born ready.
Okay, and that's why we're here today. That's why we're here.
Wonderful. So, when did you first realize that you're a Black person?
It's such a tricky question because I've always kind of known that I was Black, but if I were to think of like my earliest memory, it was probably when I was maybe like 6 years old. When you start going to school, kindergarten, other kids start seeing, you and you look different from them. And we've always kind of been in international schools, so it's always been kind of like a diverse number of people. But even the schools that had more Black people, the Black people would always point out to me that I'm Black. Mainly because my mother is light-skinned and I am dark-skinned. So I have gotten my whole life of people telling me that I'm from my father's previous marriage, people telling me that, that I look like, people are like, are you sure that's your mother? Are you sure that's your mother? These are like, this is primary school. So I've always known I'm Black, because I've had to be able to see the differences in skin tone from a very young age. And so for me, that was one of the things. And of course, you get it also from people of other races, Indians, white people, Chinese, everybody's always reminding you that you're Black. So I feel
very much agree.
But have you ever wondered, when do white people realize that they're white?
Oh, girl, I would love to ask that question. If this podcast was called Diasporadicals, we'd have them here. But I love that question.
That is a wonderful question, because when do they gain that self-awareness or self-perception? When does it
arise? Does it have anything to do with their privilege? I want to know.
And from which angle do they recognize that they're white? Do they recognize it from, I'm white because I'm superior? Is this a white supremacy flavor of whiteness? Or is it, I'm white because I realize how other people are treated differently from me?
Let me angle. Yeah, okay. So let me try and answer that question, right? Just from a personal perspective, because very much like Trey's experience, I think I first had my realization or understanding that, I'm Black when I was around that same age, if not probably younger.
Primary school.
Not even primary school, even before I got to kindergarten, when I was at home. Wow. When your parents buy you toys, dolls, white dolls, and you're combing their hair, right? And you're like, why doesn't their hair look like my hair? Why isn't my hair flowing around? When we used to play with t-shirts and you put on a t-shirt on your head and pretend you have long flowy hair.
Damn.
Why don't I look like Cinderella?
You know what, you guys? It's a very, very good topic, because you think about standards of beauty that affect women primarily, not men. And boys don't get dolls or have to think about beauty and their appearance, right? So for us, this stuff starts very early.
Very early. So that's why I was like, it was even before I was even outside the house.
That's true, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah. And you've said it as well, the fact that I'm the only girl and the last born, you realize the differences. I was lucky that I got to play with boy stuff, video games, that sort of thing. I'm a little bit of a gamer even now. But the dolls, everything was white, the hair.
So interesting.
Even the body types,
Yes, even the body
the
types,
big
everything.
Tits, the wasp waist, the flat stomach.
No ass. We have ass. No hips. We have.
Let me see. Hey, gosh. Okay,
you guys.
My parents didn't buy me dolls, which is fine. It's good on them, actually. I think they did a good job not buying me dolls. They buy me all sorts of things, but not dolls. And I played a lot with my brother's Legos. Oh, they're going to find out now through this podcast that I've been playing. I was playing with this shit. But my uncle, who's white, used to buy me dolls. Barbies, really fancy ones, really, really nice dolls. And as much as I like them, I also like the Legos and shit. I guess a bit of a tomboy. I wouldn't even call myself a tomboy, because I don't think I was a tomboy. I just liked a variety of things.
Liked what you liked.
I liked what I liked. And
we're so similar.
We got a lot in common. As you're talking, I'm just like, hey. And then he'd get me these dolls, and they're really, really dope, and I liked them. But there was always a little bit of a disconnect. As a child, you can't articulate that disconnect.
Yeah.
As an adult now, I reflect back, I'm just like, those dolls were not me. And then I have this amazing Barbie book that I still have to this day. And it's got black Barbies in it. So there's a section, it basically goes through the history of Barbies. And there's a section where they start talking about the racial element and the black Barbies. And I remember loving this book because it had, this is from the same uncle, let me tell you, he got me some cool shit. I really wish I could have kept those dolls, because today they cost people pay a lot of money for them. But anyway, that section, I remember coming across it for the first time and thinking to myself, hold on, where the black Barbies at? Hold on.
Yeah, wait, I've never seen them.
Let me tell you. And nowadays they're diverse. They've got chubby ones, they've got skinny ones, they've got every Barbie, every race.
I mean, the closest thing, I got to, well, it wasn't a black Barbie exactly, but I remember when I was younger, my big sister got me a black doll. A locally made doll.
Oh.
Yes, I used to call them Baby Muganda. In Uganda, because it was a little like made with cloth, like with brown cloth, so you could see it was a black woman with woolly hair and wearing the traditional outfit, which was really nice. So I love that doll.
Yeah,
Did
I got
you?
one as a present. Yes, exactly like that.
Who can't see, I'm holding a doll, and she's in traditional Ugandan dress. She's made with brown fabric, has got woolly hair. So basically, representing.
So that was the closest thing.
A little baby tied to her back as well. Ria gave me this, so hence.
Yes. So I had one of those as well. So it was quite a significant thing. I didn't realize it at the time, but now looking back, I was at least glad I had that, at least. Yeah.
And it kind of normalized, if you had those, it kind of normalized that, or showed some value in blackness, because you're just like, it's about representation, really. If I was to answer that question about when I realized I was black, I'd say I was aware of it my whole life, because you're obviously exposed to media, you're exposed to TV shows, etc., and you see white kids all the time. But because I never interacted with any of them, it never really hit me until much later on, where I became conscious. Hold on, I'm a black person. You're a white person. In my last year of primary school, I went to a private school, and there was this white girl from Australia. I would say technically she might have been the first racist I ever met, but I don't know. Maybe she wasn't racist, but I think I went out of my way. So the girls who are foreign versus the girls who are local, right? There's a bit of a language barrier there. So there was kind of a bit of a line between those two groups of people. And then amongst the foreign girls, it was the African foreigners and the white people. So there was like three groups, but two main groups, foreign, local, and then the foreign ones were white, not white. Because even the Asians would hang out with the rest of us, right? So POC versus white. I think this is the first time I became conscious of it. The thing is, I was going out of my way. It was my first time interacting with white people on a day-to-day basis. I was going out of my way to get to know them. I was very excited about, oh wow, people who are different from me. This is really cool. I'm going to spend time with them and get to know them. It was not reciprocated. The excitement went as far as blacks, Asians blending together and enjoying this diversity. Like, oh wow, you're from Zimbabwe? Oh wow, you're from India? Cool. The same energy did not come from the white South Africans and the other white people. The energy was not reciprocated. And this is the first time. So this girl, I went out of my way to make sure this Australian girl was comfortable and cool and everything, because I was like, I know how it feels to be new here. I was new here a year ago, and I knew nobody. And you know how it is.
You were trying to make her feel included.
Exactly. You know how preteens people are start to become mean to each other, right? So I knew I've always been this person who I welcome new people, I help them feel comfortable. But this girl literally stopped coming to school out of nowhere. And then the teacher said, I don't know what you guys did to this girl, but she told me that you guys are not nice to her. She doesn't want to come back to the school again.
Look at Karen.
Okay.
Let me tell you, baby Karen.
That is Karen. Hey.
In the making. This is my mom. I remember one day I complimented her. We went to the bathroom. We were getting into our swimsuits. And I thought she had a beautiful athletic figure. And in that age, you're starting to become aware of, figures and beauty and body and stuff. I was like, damn, girl, you got a nice body. And she's like, everybody has a body. And she stormed off. I'm just like, I don't know what it is. We're trying to be nice to you. We include you. And we're trying to compliment you. This is what we get. This girl went and said something to her parents. Went and said something to her teacher. Yeah. So I was just like, you know what? It starts early. So that was the first time in my head I was like, she's a white girl. I'm a black girl.
You realize
really
that we're different.
That's really sad because I must say I had actually a pretty different first experience or understanding, socially, that I was black and this person was white. And I think it actually came from a very innocent thing, because when we were really young, we lived in an apartment complex with people from all over the world. There were Japanese people who lived upstairs. We had Indian people, Bangladeshi, and the neighbors next door were white people. And all the kids were about the same age. So we all played together most of the time. And I became particularly friends with the white girl from next door. And it was honestly just that innocent childhood friendship until one day I was just like, hey, let's go out and play. And she's like, I can't go out today. And I was like, why? She's like, I stayed out too long in the sun yesterday and now I'm burnt. And I'm like, what does that mean? And she had to explain to me that, because my skin color, I'm like, that didn't happen to me. And then I started, that's when it started maybe coming together, that maybe because they look different, the sun is going to affect them different. But as children, and that's where I really think that racism is taught, not...
It's not inherited.
It's not inherited. But that's when I first started to realize it. And then maybe it was because of the fact that I grew up in Africa, I never really, earlier on in my childhood, never really faced racism. I say that with a pinch of salt because I'm not sure. There were some incidents. I'm not. Yeah.
Microaggressions in Africa have their own. They have a unique thing. Have you experienced any of these traits since you are in Africa? You are interacting, especially with some white South Africans. And this is the thing. I have some white South African. I've interacted with a lot of white South Africans. I would say my first proper dip in the toes with racism was with a white South African. And I'll be honest, they have to earn my trust. They don't get it by default, because the things I see and hear to me are wild. It's one of these things where how dare you come all the way here to racism us, the locals, as if you're not a visitor.
You know where you are, right?
South Africa's racism is on its own. It's its own thing. It needs its own
flavor.
It needs its own name. I don't even think it should be called racism, because I'm like, I don't know what that is. It's something else. Trace, have you experienced that kind of energy? White South Africans, I know they're special.
I mean, you know what? Before I even get to South Africa, when I was in high school, I think maybe when I was about 14, 15 years old, I dated a whole racist.
Oh, girl.
He was this white guy from
we all have, to be honest.
And he was so comfortable using the N-word. But I mean, the N-word isn't it's not our thing in Africa. And I was still pretty young, so I wasn't really thinking much about it. But at first I realized that he was only comfortable using that word in front of me and in front of one other black friend of his. And every time he would say it, he would use it in a joking way.
Okay. It was awkward.
Yeah, but he was Dutch. He was from Holland. South Africa.
Because South Africa is special. By the way, something I wanted to say about your ex who was saying the N-word and all that kind of stuff. He's one day might have been told you're a racist and said, that can't be true. I have a black friend. I had a black girlfriend. You know what I mean? Cycle perpetuates.
Oh, definitely. He told me he only dates black women.
I find that problematic.
And married to a black woman, and they had a black baby. Well, mixed race. That was a whole thing.
Based on that point, because I feel like South Africa, compared to, any other place in the world, has different classifications other than black for people who have black heritage for some reason.
I mean, if I were to talk about the South African experiences that I've had, you can't talk about that without talking about the different types of race. White, black, Indian colored, like even the Asians. So with the white people, in terms of the racism that I've experienced, it depends on the type of white, because South Africa was colonized by the Roman Dutch people. So the Dutch came, but then the English also came at some point, and get this, the Dutch and the English were actually fighting in South Africa. So I was just like, dude, can you fight somewhere else? But anyway, so we have white Afrikaans people. Those are now the ones that are from the Dutch. They're actually a lot more black than they are white in some ways. It's a bit weird, but they're still white. Those Afrikaners,
their bobochi and their
So you get your Afrikaners, then you get the English white people. So they don't speak Afrikaans. They usually just speak English. They're usually a bit more open-minded. You're less likely to get a racist experience from an English-speaking white person here in South Africa than the Afrikaners.
Interesting.
Those guys are quite racist.
It's ironic that they're called Afrikaners, yet they are racist.
I know.
I never understood that, and I particularly hate the word Afrikaner because of that racist legacy. And when you're picking languages from a drop-down list on the internet, and
it's number one on the list.
And I'm just like, I have to think of these people again. Someone out there is basically saying, oh, she's racist towards Afrikaners. I mean, you know what? Learn some nuance if that's what you're thinking right now.
Like honestly.
It's interesting you should say that, because my mind was boggled the first time I found out, because I had heard of people called Afrikaners. And then I saw the people who they were calling Afrikaners, and I got confused. I was like, but I thought Africans were black. That was my initial reaction. I'm like, so you're telling me there are no black Afrikaners? I'm like, no. I'm like,
Listen, South Africa is a different kind of Africa. There's a whole race called coloreds. Like, that's a race, okay? So when you're filling out those forms, it's black, white, colored, Asian, foreigner, and other. And then African as well. So, sometimes I'm just like, I don't know what to tick. I'm African, but I'm also a foreigner. The last form I had to fill out like that, I ticked both African and foreigner. I'm not lying.
Yeah.
But so
what can
with
you
the
do?
Afrikaners, you do get a lot of racial, sometimes they'll do things that they don't realize is racist. Okay, so I used to get singing lessons from this one company here, and it's an Afrikaans-owned company. But, I mean, when I started, I wasn't really thinking too much about it. I was like, okay, yeah, Afrikaans, whatever. I got there, I met my coach, and it was really just me and my coach. And he was Afrikaans, but the nicest person in the world, Not a drop of racism in him. But the company, because we would have performances sometimes, so sometimes I would have to interact with other people in the company. I was always the token. So, only black person there. We would have performances, and the only black people there is my poor brother. He's sitting in the back looking suspicious.
Oh my God. Oh my
he's
God.
a big guy.
Oh
so
God.
Shame. And sometimes I'll just be like, oh, buddy up.
It's fine.
Yeah, so I mean, the person that owned the company, one experience that stands out to me a lot, I mean, I've had a lot of experiences, but one that stood out to me, do you guys know what a Boerewors roll is? Well, let me just explain it. So,
we may have discussed this in our food episode, because I actually fed the girls South African food. It was biltong. We talked a little bit about South African food. So yeah.
Nice.
Well, if you haven't listened to the episode, find it. It should be episode 2 or 3. But sorry, you're going on. Yeah, you're talking about Boerewors.
No, it's fine. So a Boerewors roll, it's like a hot dog, and instead of the hot dog meat, it's it's kind of like a hot dog, but it's kind of like a very dark meat. I think in is it German, they have something a little bit similar. Is it Bratwurst or something like that? But yeah, just know that it's like a hot dog, but it's very dark meat.
Yeah, similar to Bratwurst.
Tastiest thing in the world. So now This one time I had to perform, like, I think it was a trio. Like, I was singing with two other girls, but they were both white. So we're standing on stage, and I'm standing between these two white girls. And the owner of the company is like, "Oh my God, you guys look like a Borough Boss role." And I was just like, okay.
It's like a Nutella sandwich.
Oh my God.
Okay. So I really get those experiences, you know. I've I've seen people like yell out the K word, which is the South African version of the N word.
Yeah.
At people that are like passing by.
Oh gosh.
You know, I've like had people. I've been like at a bar one time with a group of friends and had like a white person walk past and like throw their drink on us and then just carry on walking like nothing happened. You know, you've had instances like that. I had a boyfriend that was once beaten up by a group of white people because I think he was dancing with a white girl at a club. But then you get the ones that are like really nice and they're not racist at all and, you know, they're chilled. So it varies. Yeah. But definitely lots of racial tensions here.
Right. Yeah.
And then the blacks hate each other and they hate the foreign blacks.
Yeah, South Africa does have a legacy, unfortunately, of xenophobia in the past 2 decades or so. I don't think it was there before during apartheid, because there was a lot of camaraderie between South Africa and countries today. Oh, sorry. I think what we're going to do is just go for a break. We're going to go for a break, listeners, and we'll be back in a second. Welcome back. Hopefully you got some refreshments during your break. You're well oiled for the rest of the conversation.
Well, I topped up on wine.
You topped up on wine. Lovely, lovely. Yeah, I'm basically being less of an alcoholic today. I'm trying to behave myself. No, let me not hate. Let me not hate. I'm very jealous of you guys right now, if I'm being honest. But I'll get some wine later.
I'm just happy that we have alcohol. You know, there was a whole ban on alcohol because of COVID restrictions.
Yes,
I know.
Girl,
we talked
twice
about that.
now.
We talked about that on the podcast.
We did.
I'm just confused. Like, we understand trying to prevent bad behavior, but I'm just like, when people have nothing else to do, what do you think they want to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I think early on we spoke about how we realized we were black and some of the experiences we've had where our race came into play, and we were talking about racism in South Africa, which, like we said, is its own breed. They really need to give it its own name, because I'm like, I don't even know what that is. Semanting.
Yeah.
So that is, again, one way that society shows you that you're black. So do you think there's different kinds of blackness out there?
I think that the way that you define blackness for yourself usually depends on what continent you're from, you know, what society you're from, maybe even sometimes what religion is most prevalent in the country that you're from. So I feel like blackness is, I don't want to say that it is, like it's not something that you can, that's like global. I feel like it's very dependent on a lot of things, you know, because, well, you know, the white man came and took all the black people from Africa and pretty much just like spread them all over the world. So we all have different identities depending on your culture, depending on where you're from, depending on what blackness means for like, let's say in the US, you know, Black Americans have their own culture that's very different from African culture, but they came from Africa. So,
and it's different in Brazil, and it's different
in the Caribbean,
in, you know, the UK. Yeah.
I can't believe that
in South Africa.
the biggest population of Black people in the world is in Brazil.
Outside of Africa. Yeah.
I didn't know. How is it? I'm learning this in 2020. I mean, I learned it last year.
How did you know?
I learned that in 2020. I think I am more informed than the average.
Yes.
How? This is what I'm saying. What is this? It's crazy.
Because a lot of, let's say, Black history outside of Africa is usually told in the context of slavery in the US. So not many people are taught about, maybe you hear about slavery in the Caribbean, but not many stories, maybe because of a language barrier, or maybe because these stories are being told in a different language, in Portuguese or something, that you don't really hear, they don't filter through, and you don't hear about the stories and the experiences of Black people who arrived in South America, and the communities they built. Did you even know that there's even people who still speak very fluent Yoruba in Brazil today?
That is true. When you think about voodooism, you think about those religious traditions. The music is a big clue. The music is a huge clue.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's not even just Yeah, absolutely, it does. The religion and the music.
There's a part of Brazil, or I think, where is it called? Is it Bahia? That's where the largest concentration of Black people are, in that part of the country. And it's crazy. You go there and you're it's like you're somewhere else in Africa.
Now, can I tell you guys something interesting? The highest population of Indians outside of India is in Durban, South Africa.
Yeah, I knew that one. And
I did not know that.
In that part of the world.
Oh, there you go, right?
It's shocking.
It's shocking, isn't it? It's shocking.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, here in South Africa, you can get Indian coloreds, because remember, colored is its own race. So you can get Indian coloreds. You can get just Indians, and then you get the South African Indians. So yeah, it's actually very diverse here. They call South Africa the Rainbow Nation because there are so many different.
So you've got coloreds as a race in South Africa, whereas these group of people would be called mixed heritage in the UK.
I don't even know if I would do that. Because a mixed race person, you can see who the parents were, right? You can figure that out. A colored person,
according to our but I'm talking in politically correct terms. The UK, would you call them mixed race?
Outside of South Africa, you
can't say colored. Yeah, and I know you can't say mixed race anymore either.
Really? Oh,
well,
yeah.
I heard so. What is multiracial, I think, is the more politically correct term.
Yeah, that's why I said mixed heritage, because that's the most recent politically correct term I've heard.
I completely get it. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with saying mixed race, but whatever. At the end of the day, the reason why I was saying I'm not comfortable, I don't even think you could say colored people are mixed race, because they look different.
And
they even look different from someone who's got a black parent and a white parent. They look different.
I can actually explain that. Because you know what? With coloreds, what you have to remember is that, during the time of apartheid, they're obviously coming from black and white, or Indian and black, or something, but it's really just their own race here. They have their own culture. They also speak Afrikaans. That's their language as well. That's what they'll call their mother tongue. And they actually you can tell a color, they're not mixed race, as you say, because now it's generations of generations of only mixed race. And remember, here in South Africa, it's very unlikely for people to marry outside of their race or to date outside of their race. So colors usually stick with colors.
So they intermarry.
White stick with white. I can tell you, white people can tell you, look, I have no problem dating outside of my race, but my parents would never accept it. So even as, I'm sure you've also noticed that with the newer generations, we get a lot more tolerant people. But even the more tolerant newer generations are restricted from integrating to that level because of their parents. And it's quite sad to see, actually. You do get a few people that do.
The stronghold of racism. Oof. Okay, so Trace, Tell us about any other maybe relevant racist experiences.
There is one that I actually was thinking about while we were having this conversation. So I've been living in apartments. Like I feel like it's just a normal transition from university residences, if you were ever in a university residence. So I've been in a lot of apartments, and apartment hunting is a whole thing, you know. There's Gumtree. I think you guys have Gumtree as well. So there's that, and there's like other websites and stuff. So sometimes I would have to go through like an agent, and I remember this one time. It was kind of like an email interaction between me and the agent, and so everything was fine, everything was great. Then I went to go view the apartments, and I get there. I had to meet the agent first outside of the estate so that we could go in together. So I met him outside. He was very friendly. Everything was fine, you know, great, no problem, cool. We go inside. We get to the apartment. What's normal here is domestic workers. In South Africa, you can't say maid because maid is but in other parts of Africa, it's maid. So, but here, domestic workers are usually, they're always black, you know, it's standard. So, unfortunately, and for reasons that you can imagine. So, she's outside, you know, she's sitting and stuff. I'm like, oh, cool, you know. Going in, I'm walking up to the apartment, and there's an old white Afrikaans lady who's standing outside the apartment, and she's speaking to the agent in Afrikaans, because obviously I don't speak Afrikaans, you know? So usually when they want to say things that they don't want you to hear, they'll like speak in Afrikaans. She didn't even address me. She didn't even like acknowledge my presence, you know? She spoke to him, and then she walked inside the apartment. And then he turns to me looking all embarrassed and like so ashamed. And he's like, no, she just told me that the apartment has actually just been taken. And I was just like, and it didn't occur to me at the time. It didn't occur to me. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Oh, man. You know, she's just a rude person, whatever. So then, I go back. As I'm driving home, it occurred to me. I was like, oh, shit. I just had a racist experience, you know? Like, and it sucks because when other people also tell me about their racist experiences, it's usually the case that you only realize it was racist.
It's in 2020.
Yes.
You know, hindsight, you know?
Hindsight, there you go.
I would really like to say something about that. Because there's a lot of white people in particular and non-black people who they seem to think that we walk around as black people looking for people to be racist to us.
You know?
They think that that's all we ever think about because we bring it up when it comes about. But we don't. It's usually after you've gone home and you're like, but why would someone do that to me?
Do that. And then you
say hello.
And then you realize, and then
you're like,
and we don't walk around with a racist lens on our glasses. We literally just walk around as human beings because we see ourselves as human beings.
Right.
And then when it doesn't make any sense, when you do the maths and the maths is not mathsing.
You know, it's not mathing.
It's not. The equation does not collect. I'm confused. What's happening?
Plus 2 isn't 5.
If I had a pound for every time that happened to me, when I got home, scratched my head, and then I'm like, oh,
you know what else happens to me?
You know, in school when they say solve for X equals racism. It's racism.
You know what else I get? Because here in South Africa, the Afrikaners know. Deep down, they know that they're racist. Like, deep down, they know that they're racist, or even if they believe that they're not racist, they know that their sister, their father, their mother, their child is racist, you know? So you get the Afrikaans, white people who will, at times, want to prove that they're not racist. And I'm sure a lot of experiences are going through both of your minds, like your own personal experiences, that I get these guys coming to me telling me, you know what? I don't see color. I am colorblind. I don't see color. But let me tell you this, though. In the same breath, as soon as they find out that I'm a foreigner, all of a sudden now we're friends. Because the white people here, they're racist, yes, but they specifically do not like the black South Africans. So once they find out that you're a foreigner, you are their best friend. They can tell you about all the experiences they've been having with these Black South Africans. You know, they're lazy, they're this. You guys come and you're hard workers, but they're lazy, they're this and they're this. And it's ridiculous. Let me tell you one shocking story that I had from, I'm going to say a friend. Okay, it's not my experience. Friend of mine, her boss is a white Afrikaans lady. Very nice, very friendly. I've met her. I've even done some freelance work for her, you know. Very friendly. This woman, if I ever let me not lie. Okay, so... Okay. So in academia, you know, like you have your supervisor and like they're like your boss, you know. So usually they will take on like a bunch of postdocs and a bunch of master students who are looking for like, I don't know, part-time work, you know, and that sort of thing. Now the postdocs are, because I'm a postdoc, okay, I'm 33 years old, I'm a postdoc. And so postdocs are usually between the ages of like 30 and like 45, you know. So these are fully grown adults, you know. They don't pay us shit. Like, I can pay my rent, I can pay my bills. That's it. You know, like, we don't get paid for the amount of work that we do. Now, my friend's boss specifically used to do this. Like, my boss at least will always try. Like, she's also white Afrikaans, but she's actually a sweetheart. Like, she actually really does try, you know, to look for different ways that I can get funding and things like that, you know. But my friend's boss now, she would take on like lots of postdocs. She would take on lots of research assistants, you know, black foreigners, you know, because first of all, if you're a foreigner in South Africa and you're black, okay, we're not going to talk about the white foreigners because that's a different one. So like
you know? Labor force intensive.
That's what I'm getting to. Yes, exactly. We're on the same wavelength. Okay. Girl, listen, underpaid and overworked.
Please break it down for our audience because I don't think they'll catch that.
Yeah. Actually,
I know what you're saying. Break it down.
You're absolutely right. So if you're a foreigner in South Africa, chances are you have it extremely hard.
That one is worldwide.
Oh, yeah, well, true. Actually, it probably is. Oh, yeah. That's true, you know, because immigration laws.
I was going to say we'll have to touch on the American version of this.
Oh, we're gonna have to, right?
Keep going. No, keep going.
So immigration laws make it extremely difficult to find work in South Africa. I had to get an effing, I don't know if I can swear here, I had to get an effing doctorate in order to apply for permanent residence. Okay. And I could, and the thing is that you can't get a work permit here. To get a work permit, you have to already have a job. So you have to have gone through an interview process. Your boss has to, you know, give you the job, and then also has to go through an immigration process where he now has to take responsibility for if you commit a crime, he's going to pay for
preaching the life of immigrants
deportation. Yes, yeah. Hey, so for the audience listening, that's what we have to deal with. So finding work here. Yeah, girl, yes. I'm so sorry, but
been through that
like,
cycle.
This is what it is. I can see from your expressions, both of you.
The pain is coming back.
My life with the song. Killing me slowly.
With visas. Killing me with visas.
Look, we are literally going to have a dedicated episode.
Yeah, you know,
we have that.
Please invite me because I am, you know, like,
we will.
Yeah. 12, like, how many years now?
Here's the word visa. The anxiety. The sweat.
You know?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing as your mother calling you by your first name. It's even worse.
You're like, I'm in trouble.
You know?
Visa.
My bank account gets a little bit of a shock, you know? It's like, oh, visa. Before we even get to the other things. So finding work here is so difficult, you know? So finding work is so difficult. So what usually tends to happen is, and I hate to admit it, but it is true, you do get a lot of people, white South Africans, who will hire foreign nationals who, because now, you know, it's difficult getting a work permit, but like, hey, I will give you like a third of what I would have to pay a South African who I have to now follow the employment equity rules and everything, you know, so it's a lot easier. So that's also part of the reason why they don't like us here, you know, because
As in black South Africans.
Yes,
yes.
Sorry, I should have specified.
Yeah, we have to be specific because some people are really not understanding how these dynamics work between a local black, a foreign black, and the white people.
It is a whole pyramid.
Let me tell you.
I think it's pretty much like the xenophobia you see here in the UK,
It's
where
the
you get
same
in a way. Yeah.
white British people afraid of Europeans, white Europeans coming into the country because they're gonna take our jobs, da 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 da. But I don't know if
the US and Mexicans.
I mean, in the US, it's happening the same way. So I think from the US angle, it's a very similar thing. Do you know that black Africans who are international students paying fees, double fees, it's usually double, paying double fees. By the way, cash.
I pay double fees.
You don't get special.
No
you
loans.
can get a scholarship, but not much. You don't get loans.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to pay by cash somehow. You go there. Do you know that you, as a black African, paying fees, double fees, count towards their diversity statistics? I personally think this is how white people are pitting black people against each other. You know, now the black Americans in America who are not getting their
chance because another black person from somewhere else. Yeah.
Because Africans should not count towards affirmative action. Should not. And this is how they're like, and this is why you guys may have heard of the adult movement. Well, it needs its own episode. But
I feel like,
this is where the tensions are happening. And I really hate that Africans in the US, some of them have a mentality that they're better because the white people have rubbed them on their back and said, you're the better black. You're the better black. You're the better black. And they're buying into this bullshit.
Which is exactly
looking down on African Americans. I can see the same things happening in South Africa.
I was going to say,
I've seen it. Let me tell you. I've seen it.
No, so that's why actually it now brings me back to the question, when you first asked, what types of blackness are there? What versions of blackness are there?
Yeah, but I was still going to tell you about that shocking experience.
Please,
sorry.
Sorry, I just had to bring it back. But my friend's boss, you guys, it was just, she's nice. I met her. She's the nicest person. But again, kind of person that will take on all the postdocs, all of the underappreciated black foreign nationals, if she will take on black South Africans as well. But I mean, in academia here in SA, you see the trend. It's mostly black foreigners and a few black South Africans as well, So with her, in addition to not really paying what they're worth, there was a time when I think my friend was telling me that they were at a conference and she overheard her boss talking to another person. Her and another person overheard her boss talking to another person, and her boss said, wait, I need to get it right because you'll understand why. She said, black people don't smell as bad as Indians.
Whoa.
White Afrikaans woman. Can you imagine? This is a conference. She thinks no one can hear her. She's got all these black employees that she's taking advantage of. And she just says this like it's normal. So for me, I feel like there are a lot of, worldwide, but, specifically South Africa, I feel like there's a lot of people that don't know that they're racist. Now, you find that she's probably thinking to herself, I've got all these black people that I'm taking on. I'm giving them money. What are they complaining about? I am not racist. Honey, you are very racist.
No. Well, we have that very similar version of her statement over here in the UK. Mama G. I don't know if you've heard.
Tell me which one you're thinking, because I've got a few of my own. Go on.
No, but this one is very related to, I'm sorry to say, people commenting on the smell of, let's say, Indian people or Asian, not Asian, but Indian people.
They have it rough.
It's very specific.
Yeah.
It's very specific. Let us be honest here.
Specific.
We know what it is.
I think black people and Africans do this as well.
We do.
Yes,
we do.
We do.
We definitely
but she took down 2 races in one statement.
But she did. There's this what's it called? The hierarchy of discrimination.
Right?
It's a hierarchy. Every country has its own hierarchy. And where you end up falling, that's the kind of blackness you experience as a black person.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right
going
back
back to our question about different kinds of blackness. Look at us. Look at us. Full circle.
I know. So we talked about there's that kind of that, but then even to answer that question, right? Because then I can't even say this lightly, because I feel like there's some people who gatekeep blackness
You get
and
those?
try to categorize and say you're this kind of black or you're that kind of black.
And if you're not, you're cool.
Okay. I have very strong opinions here.
Wait.
So
Hold on. Let me finish
Don't
what
get
I
me
was
wrong.
saying.
Okay,
Yeah?
Terry Crews, we can have a whole thing on that one.
Okay, just worry.
Listen, I'm not saying that there aren't any.
Yes, okay, but bear with me here. Bear with me, okay, before I lose my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
What I was trying to say is that there have been people who I consider myself black. I don't know what version of black I am. I'm just black. For as long as I've known, I'm black. But then there have been people, also, interestingly, black people, who've come up to me to tell me that I'm not black enough.
Oh, honey.
So,
you're preaching to
what
the
does
choir.
that mean?
You
What
are
does that
preaching
mean?
to the choir. I'm not African
Black
enough.
enough.
I can't, you know?
But Trace, that's a very specific question. African enough is different from black enough.
Black enough.
That's true. That is true. Okay, that is actually very true. I think
Because
that when I
go to Kenya, I know no one is going to say, "Oh, you're not." People are going to tell me you're not Kenyan. And to be honest, I am the kind of person who doesn't give a shit. So I'll be like, "Yeah, whatever."
No,
I'm
talking about Ugandans telling me.
Here in the UK, I know I'm not Black British. I grew up in the UK. I speak. I speak like a local. I don't. Right? Even though I am Black British. Again, if I go to Botswana, I am not a Motswana. But I spent my most of my life there. Most important years I spent there.
But
so
the problem,
there's a sense of you're not something enough. But to me, it's more nationality based than race based.
That is true.
So
no, not
necessarily. So here's where I was coming. Here's where I was coming in from. Okay, you go first, Trey.
Okay, no, I was just going to say that, like, listen, I've been called a coconut. I've been called an Oreo. I've been called.
That's where I was going with
this. You see, it connects with my blackness as well.
Yes.
So I should have.
So I have been told by other black people, maybe, and we're talking about what does it mean to be black based on society and everything. So according to my social groups, or different, I'm a member of different social circles, but I've been told by certain black people that, oh, you don't act black. AKA, you act white.
Oh, yeah. I dance like a white girl. I've been told that, like, and it's true. But
what? No, so I was wait.
Girl, listen. You know, like, it got to a point where I was just like, you know what? I'll just be taking the photos. Like, you guys have a good time. I'm just here drunk.
There are many ways to be black. Can I say that?
You know,
to me, it sounds like there's a cultural blackness.
Yes.
There's a political blackness.
Thank you.
There's what do I say? Genetic
behavioral.
Behavioral one is cultural. Like then there's the genetic one. I personally subscribe to only one kind of blackness.
Which is
scientific, genetic.
Okay.
Not because science itself does not claim race is an actual thing. Race is not there.
No.
But in terms of your genes, your genetics, your heritage, the location where your people's came from, and how pure that is. I'm not really into race purity, but I'm just saying, if you're someone who's like mixed, half black, half white, like
not just in terms of where you come from,
what I mean. But so basically, in terms of your ancestors, were they black people? Are your parents black? Are their parents black? That's the only question. That's the only blackness I subscribe to. Because culture does not make you black. Because otherwise, we've got white people out there who act black, but they ain't black.
That's
Asians
where
too.
I was going with this.
This is why
That's where I was going with this. Thank you. You know,
but
then this all goes back to, the initial definition was of, or the initial boundaries of race were built upon a social construct.
Yes.
And not
definitely
genetic. So I agree with you when you say you're looking at genetic, you're looking at heritage. I get you when you say that, right? But today we are talking about society and its effects on us.
That's
how they have made us feel that we are black. How are we black according to society? Not genetics, not heritage, not where you're from. Okay? And that's really interesting. And the reason I was bringing this up was I recently watched a very interesting, I think it was an interview. It was an interview on Good Morning Britain. This was about a year ago.
No.
Trey, I don't know if you know what good... I don't know. That is a bad show. That is a bad show. Tracy, I don't know. Do you know who Piers Morgan is?
Of course I do.
That's his show.
Even if you don't want to know who he is, by fire, by force, that guy will force himself into your life and destroy it.
Listen, I'm Ugandan. I'm from a former British colony. We watched all those shows growing up.
Ooh, okay.
So,
all right.
yes.
See what happened. By the way, if you're in the audience and you're wondering who these people are and what the show is, we will tell you right now, do not watch it. Don't. Save yourself. Your life is better when you don't know.
Let me tell you, okay, and this is, okay, and it's good we're telling you now, because this is a kind of show which is, no, this is Good Morning Britain.
Good Morning Britain, sorry. Oh, goodness.
Britain, so GMB, right? But then the reason, okay, and I'll say, usually every episode or every time it happens to come across my eyesight or something like that, it's usually by accident or by happenstance. So this particular one I managed to sit through because said idiot that we said a few seconds ago, his name, I'm not repeating it, wasn't on this episode. So anyway, so on this episode they're talking to an American lady, right, who grew up all of her life under the impression that she was a light-skinned black woman.
I mean, like
she even married.
They told her she was a light-skinned black person, or
no? She was raised. And this was in she's in her 60s, 70s now. But growing up, she grew up in during segregation, so she grew up in a black community. She was raised by, I think, adoptive black parents or something like that.
How did she not know?
So she grew up, she just thought she was really light-skinned. She even ended up marrying a black man. Whatever.
What did her hair look like?
Hold on.
Was it straight?
No, actually,
blonde?
not straight. It was
she a red hair?
Kind of curly hair, thick kind of curly, dark hair.
Okay,
so it could, The thing is, even looking at her, even I looked closely. I was like,
You're so wondering, wait a minute.
I was like, that nose could be West African, I swear. I'm like, so even me, I was just like, we don't know. So she finds out, right? So she finds out, grown up, that her biological parents were indeed white people. Okay?
Can you imagine
fully
the
white.
shock? I could have had privilege all this time.
Like,
what the hell?
I
could have been privileged. I'd have got a good job. I'm in the suburbs.
We can talk about this. Let's take a little break. Let's have a little breather. Refresh. Because
I can see your faces. You want to jump on this so bad.
I think I need to take a deep breath before I continue. Woo!
Okay. Okay. So, listeners, it seems like this episode is going on. So, I suggest that we break it up into 2 parts.
Okay.
We'll be back next week with a part 2 of this. And listen in. You know where to find us on our socials, on everything. But in the meantime, stay tuned.